would second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Yeah. You're welcome.
Brandon?
Good morning. I know that I've given you my formal recommendation through email based on the differences in the bids. Fire service did get a hold of me and say that they could move up their truck date to February of 2025 as opposed to the 900 day that they had in the bid, and they could also make the changes to more closely match the bid packet. So I guess I'll leave that up to you.
So we don't have these changes in writing or not?
No, not this time.
So we don't really know.
I'll put it in writing, sir.
Okay.
So this is within the fire station, fire
Service,
service. And then you moved the date up to what did you say?
February of 25.
I guess I have a little concern not seeing it in writing before we approve it. Is it gonna hurt to go another 2 weeks before we approve this or not?
No, that wouldn't hurt.
Okay, so let's, I suggest that we table it until we actually do get apples to apples in writing.
Okay.
Good.
All right, that sounds good.
We have a motion, I'll make that motion. We have a second.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nathan?
Good morning, everybody. I got 2 items for you. First, give you an update on the courthouse project budget, as I did to the council last week. You have 2 budget documents in your packets. The first on the 8.5 by 11 is the most recent update from Ton and Blank, and that is for their scope of the project. So everything construction management, and contingency. And which is based on the recently completed design development drawings from Luminat Roland. And then the 8.5 by 14 sheet, which is my overall project budget estimate, which encompasses the Ton and Blank numbers, and then everything that doesn't fall within the scope of the construction manager. So everything from IT to the architects, to environmental, to Barnes and Thornburg and Baker Tilly, everything on top of that. At present, the construction budget, including both contingencies, including a contingency, is $9.379 million, with total cost estimated at $11.809 million. Presented this information to the steering committee about a week and a half ago, then to the council last Monday. I received some feedback from a couple of councilors regarding their concerns with how much the budget has escalated. And before I dive into some options, wanted to give you a sense of what I reported to them as to how we've gotten to the costs that we're at. The 2021 estimates that you see, or the 20 is, that was done by our previous architect. And so those were based entirely on square footage and a very raw, basic project scope tied to very raw drawings. Adequately prepared design drawings did not exist at that point yet because we were still in the heart of the Justice Center project. So while it was a helpful point of reference at the time, it's not especially reliable for comparison cost. Same with June 22, updates as we saw market changes, but still based on very rough drawings and no detailed plans and specs. The October and April numbers, by contrast, were done by Ton and Blank with the assistance of subcontractors who provided numbers for their individual trades. Those October and April estimates from Ton and Blank were based on actual drawings, first the schematic design and then design development, meaning that they're rooted in much more detailed plans and specifications. In addition to the continued fine-tuning of the plans, that is part of the general architectural process, as Luminat Roland and consultants have continued investigating the building and the property, worked with the steering committee, and had countless conversations with the office holders in the building. Project scope has been modified and expanded to ensure that it's meeting the county's long-term needs, as well as making sure we can do everything as possible to avoid change order surprises during the process. We know with an old building like that, there will be surprises. They have been very attentive to detail, trying to avoid that to the greatest extent possible. As I think I've told you in the past, we've had ton and blank on site for some exploratory demolitions so that we know exactly what they'll be encountering and can plan accordingly. And then materials and labor costs have increased over the last 2 years, like they have for pretty much everything. So that's how we've gotten to the point where we are today. I did speak with Mr. Ireton after the council meeting, reported on the concerns that I received, and then I did report back to those council members who had expressed reservations and solicited their insights in terms of where they might like to see some cost-cutting opportunities, in particular, what they think a reasonable target for getting the budget down is. And what I told them is that Mr. Ireton doesn't think, given where you see the largest components of the project cost, that a value engineering exercise would lead to enough potential cost cutting to justify delaying the project and additional front-end expenses. What he does think is a viable option, and will require some additional conversation with Ton and Blank about this, is a job-by-job review of cost savings opportunities with Ton and Blank and individual subcontractors once the final scope is done, once they have actually been awarded the bids they have offered on those detailed plans and specs. And then as far as the project schedule goes, currently looking at a bid letting process beginning at late June, early July, lasting 4 to 6 weeks, with site work and demolition tentatively starting in mid or late September. It's a lot of information there. Questions now, let me know. Otherwise, if you want to sit down and chew it up and over a little bit, come back to me. I'll make the same offer that I did to the council. If there are any questions or you have for me to relate to Ton and Blank, Luminat, an MEP consultant, all of the above, if you'd like to sit down with them, go over it, I will make that happen. This is where things are at this point.
And that is the first line, Nathan, the construction. So did that not include any interior renovation in 2021?
So if you look at the 2021 line item, it was just a simple line item right before it. When Peter, our previous architect, he broke it out that way. In the later ones, since it's just included in Ton and Blank's final budget number, I've combined those to reflect Ton and Blank's report.
Okay. Because there's a lot of things that is based off of that first line. You talked about 9% of the construction cost.
Yeah. And it is construction. It was just a different way of it. The 9.5% included all of that. It was just laid out differently by Peter.
So what did you say, late July for the bidding process to begin?
Late June, early July is when we're hoping.
Late June.
Yes, late June, early July to advertise for bids over a 4 to 6 week period.
So are we still looking at end of July for moving the people over?
Yep.
to the next?
All right, if you don't have any questions for now, and please do let me know any questions, concerns, things you want me to relay to the architect, I'll make sure to. I will move on to the other part of our report.
Do you have any, you're on the steering committee?
No, I did not make the last meeting.
Housing project. Several months ago, I had reported on the ongoing efforts, the board and council at joint session. I think it might have been the October joint session at this point. Gotten permission to approach the E.M.A Town Council seeking their cooperation and support for investigating the county farm property on the south side of 60 South for potential development. In the intervening several months, working with the Community Foundation, our housing task force, and our consultants, I've investigated a number of other potential properties, both county-owned and otherwise, and we've secured sufficient private, public, and nonprofit funding for the pre-development costs necessary to move forward. as well as the town of Winnemac formal endorsement of that South County Farm property. At this point, I'm asking for you to authorize moving forward with the project so that I can solicit an MOU from the Housing Resource Hub regarding these pre-development services and ultimately a request for proposals for development. Obviously, with the timeline backed up a bit, it's going to get even more complicated as we've already reached planting season. So I don't know when surveyors, civil will actually be able to do what on that site. But I don't want the hub to start diving into that unless the commissioners are okay with doing so. My vision, if you will, is that we'll have at least rough drawings and plans done for the entire property out there. But focus on a more detailed, like construction-ready plan for, I don't know exactly how many acres, but a segment of it so that we have a first phase that would be ready to go forward without committing too much time or money to land that we might not ever end up taking out of agricultural production. But we'd be ready to, if the demand proves sufficient, to go into a phase 2.
It's still just the responsibility of the commissioners, just whether or not to sell the land.
Yes.
None of this decision-making.
No,
has to do
no.
with our decisions.
Right,
here.
but you have to be able, if you're not okay with moving forward with
Yes.
services, then yeah.
Right. Back to our first item. Will this topic be brought up again at the joint session? Have you collected any other information?
Yeah, I mean, I intend to continue discussing it until bids have been let and we're going forward. I want to keep everyone in,
Right. Anything else for Nathan?
So am I okay to have them start with the pre-development services, looking in the engineering and surveying, get that ball rolling?
I would agree.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Gary?
Well, good morning. I wanted to bring you attention to, I'm going to have United Consultant come up on the June 5th meeting to present to you the possible replacing of bridge number 249 in Mill Creek. It probably would not be constructed until 2024, but we want to they're going to bring their whole packet to present to the commissioners to get signed to proceed forth with replacing this bridge. It's out on 250 South and it's east of 465 East. And they want to be on the agenda for the June 5th meeting to bring their presentation to you as the commissioners.
What was that bridge number here?
249, it was built in 1950 and it's needs some attention and needs to be replaced.
Is that the one just east of Tony Castle,
Yes, it's on the,
the north and south road?
yeah, the drawing blank on the,
I know where it's at.
Is that a total replacement?
yes, that would be a total replacement, yes. I have two other things really. I wanted to make sure we had the okay to help with some of our equipment at the fair like we have in the past. I just wanted to make sure that you're okay with, if we take our fork truck, whatever else they need for the fair. We've done it in the past, but I still like to bring it to your attention and get the approval.
Yep, that's fine.
And then the last one is, I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to change the policy handbook or our requirements as far as CDLs to get help. Right now, we're required with Class A. We are needing an assistant mechanic. I talked to the council about it at the last meeting. And I wanted to bring it to your attention what we needed to do as far as possibly lowering some of the restrictions on a full Class A down to, we've got one gentleman I just hired as a Class A, but it's a restriction of an automatic only. He comes from the state, but right now when I able to find any help, so, when somebody comes in, you really gotta look it over.
There's quite a little bit of stuff you can do, like putting signs up and they can drive pickups and stuff without having a Class A.
Yeah, exactly right, but as far as snow plowing, if you don't have an automatic truck, yeah, but that's something we're gonna try to work, I mean, we have to do what we can do to get employees, and we're
Yeah.
not having any luck, so.
Yeah, I
Like
don't,
I say, I did hire a guy with it has a automatic only, so we're gonna work through those situations and do the best we can.
what is most of the trucks?
I think we have 7 automatics.
I think we can do away with that Class A restriction.
So, and also for like the assistant mechanic, we don't have an assistant mechanic right
Well,
now.
the sign guys just.
But that, yeah, a sign guy's a sign guy, but still in the winter, he has to plow snow, so if all the trucks, yeah. So we,
I try to encourage him to get it, but any more than that.
well, I believe to go and get it to be
Yeah, I
able
know.
is expensive, I believe. So we're just working, I just want to bring it to your attention that if it comes out that, hey, I got somebody, well, yeah, I do, because we don't have anybody applying for jobs. Similar to Chris is. And that's all I had.
Any update on trying to sell some equipment or buy equipment?
No, we're still, we don't really have anything that we're selling right now. I know we worked with the sheriff's department on some of the army stuff, and that we're kind of hold on it right now. We're looking into mini excavators, but we've only got one person so far that's submitted. I had someone call and wanted to know, and I said, well, we don't have any of the specs and that out for sure, but we wanted to, so.
I think that's what I was remembering, but didn't know what piece of equipment it was.
Well, and we did, over a year ago or so, we did get the okay to look into purchasing a distributor truck. And we have, because there's only one company, but it's like 2 years out. So tentatively right now, we've kind of put in an order for a distributor truck, but who knows when we'll be able to even get one. So.
Anything else for Gary? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're down to claims and payroll number 10.
Okay, I've reviewed the claims and reviewed payroll 10 and make a motion to approve as presented.
I looked at them too, I second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we have the regular minutes of the May 1st, 2023 meeting.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have conference requests. We have 3 different ones. Make them all 3 together unless you object to that.
No, I would make a motion to approve all of the conferences. That's Richel Fox and Laura Wheeler on 2 different conferences. So,
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye.
We have a copier and printer request for the prosecutor's office. I did call there. Their last purchase was in 2017. This piece of equipment. I think there was quite a change through several departments just a couple years ago maybe, but theirs was still in good shape at that time, so they did not choose to replace. And now it's to a situation where it needs replaced and to have a regard to office products. It's a cost of $159 a month for the lease and an installation of $125. So we would need a motion to approve this purchase.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then, ask Larry to come and has some updates on our replacements on rooftops, so.
Brent Smith with me as well for JK.
Grant, welcome.
Thank you.
Morning, Brent.
Chris is aware of this as well. The west rooftop unit has bad coil in it, which is for the A and B blocks in the jail. Lead time for a coil is 3 to 6 months out. And there's no guarantee that the one coil that's still working is gonna last. If it goes down, then Chris is gonna be in a pickle trying to do something with inmates.
Yeah, Larry brought this to me on Friday. So I'm gonna try to do this, try to remember everything he told me. It controls the air on A and B. He had 3 quotes. One was a coil, one was, the one bid was, one that was gonna be an extended period of time, right?
6 to 12 months out.
And then the third bid, which is the higher one, was one we could get fairly quickly.
Yes.
You know, what I told Larry was on Friday was I can't see putting $8,000 in a coil if it's gonna go out anyways, because there's no guarantee on that. You know, we're coming into July and August. What was lead time on this last one?
1 to 2 weeks.
So, I mean, if I can start shipping prisoners out, it's gonna be quite expensive. I can't have it 100 degrees back there. And I checked with Carrie on Friday. We have a fund, the misdemeanor fund, we could possibly use. Worst case scenario, I could do it out of council. I don't want to do that. If we can do that misdemeanor fund, I'll be sure and ask the council in June if I can do that and use that. But it's pretty solid. We have money there to do that with. So my recommendation is the third one because, like I said, we're coming into July and August. We're getting into some hot times, and I don't need a bunch of complaints in the back and have to start shipping some prisoners around. We don't know if one unit will handle it or not. So
Right.
that's everything, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's my thoughts on it.
And right now, what Chris is saying, one coil is keeping up with the current temperatures. But Brent can tell you that he don't know if it, once it gets into 80s and 90s, that one coil will keep up.
Okay, so at this point in time, you need approval from the council to go with the option 3.
That would be my suggestion,
And you
yes.
would be coming to the council with
Yes,
see what funds to be used.
yes, that's correct. Is that okay?
$26,510.
I don't know how soon do we have to wait or,
And
One
one
to
thing,
2 weeks out.
yeah, 1 to 2 weeks out. The worst part about it, it's gonna take, what, 2 months to get approved? It's got to be advertised.
No, we're gonna approve here,
Okay.
and then the council will approve where the funds come.
it just depends which fund it comes out of. I just don't want to wait 2 months, like Larry said. I think we can get it funded that way. It's a necessary item. Like I said, you're coming into July and August. It's
I
gonna
think for an emergency situation.
Yes,
Okay,
that'd be okay.
And probably the downfall to that is, they request half to order it. And that's why I was getting at, it has to be advertised. I don't know if the commissioners can cover half and then Chris reimburse commissioners, or how you wanna
what do you think? Well,
handle that.
I think it's kind of an emergency thing.
Probably have it in maintenance, pull it out of your maintenance, that'll be 38, and then Chris can reimburse you when he gets this done.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
So we need a motion to approve, the 26,510 for the replacement unit.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? I'd say keep in contact with Laura on how to move the funds, Larry.
Yep. Well, thank you, guys.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anything else from the commissioner side? Kevin, have anything?
No.
Community comments?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All about her.